There comes a moment in every person's life when the noise becomes too loud. The opinions, the expectations, the comparisons, the constant pressure to be someone you are not. You wake up one day and realize something important. You have been living a life that the world designed for you. Not the life your heart wanted, not the life your soul imagined, but the life shaped by the voices around you. And in that moment, a powerful truth begins to whisper inside you. If you want to find who you really are, you must be willing to disappear, not forever, but long enough to rediscover your power. Because the world we live in is loud. Everywhere you look, someone is telling you what success looks like. Social media tells you how rich you should be. Society tells you how popular you should be. Friends tell you what you should pursue. Family tells you what is safe, but almost no one tells you to stop, to sit in silence, and ask yourself the most important question of your life. Who am I when no one is watching? That is where your true identity lies. Not in the applause, not in the likes, not in the approval of others, but in the quiet moments when it is just you and your thoughts. And that is why every great transformation in history begins the same way, with a period of disappearance. Every champion goes through it. Every leader goes through it. Every person who becomes extraordinary must walk through a season where the world does not see them, where the crowd is not cheering, where the spotlight is not shining. Because the greatest work you will ever do in your life will happen when no one is watching. Let me tell you something about greatness. Greatness is not built on stage. Greatness is built in the dark, while everyone else is sleeping, while everyone else is scrolling, while everyone else is chasing attention. You are in a quiet room working on yourself, improving yourself, building your discipline, strengthening your mind. And that kind of growth requires distance from the noise. You see, most people are afraid to disappear. They are afraid to step away from the crowd. They are afraid of being forgotten. They are afraid of being alone. But the truth is, isolation is the birthplace of transformation. When you disappear for a while, something powerful happens. You begin to hear your own voice again, not the voice of society, not the voice of doubt, not the voice of fear, but your real voice. The voice that tells you what you truly want. The voice that reminds you what you are capable of. The voice that refuses to settle for a life of mediocrity. And when that voice becomes louder than the noise around you, that is when your life begins to change. But understand something. Disappearing is not about running away from life. It is about preparing yourself for it. It is about stepping back long enough to rebuild your mind, your discipline, and your purpose. Think about a warrior preparing for battle. A warrior does not spend all his time in the crowd. A warrior trains in solitude. He sharpens his sword in silence. He strengthens his body away from the noise. Because when the battle comes, preparation will determine the outcome. And life is no different. If you want to rise above average, if you want to build something meaningful, if you want to become the strongest version of yourself, there will be a season where you must disappear. A season where you say no to distractions, a season where you reduce the noise around you, a season where you focus on your growth. That season might feel lonely. It might feel uncomfortable, but let me tell you something powerful. Loneliness and growth often walk together. When you begin changing your habits, some people will not understand. When you begin chasing bigger goals, some people will doubt you. When you begin focusing on discipline instead of comfort, some people will leave. And that is okay, because not everyone is meant to walk the entire journey with you. Some people are only meant to walk the first chapter of your story. But the next chapter, the chapter where you become stronger, wiser, and more focused, that chapter requires a different version of you. And that version of you is built in silence. You see, the world celebrates success, but the world rarely sees the sacrifice behind it. They see the athlete lifting the trophy, but they did not see the years of lonely training. They see the entrepreneur building an empire, but they did not see the nights of doubt and struggle. They see the confident leader standing on stage, but they did not see the years of self-discipline and growth. Success always has a hidden chapter, And that hidden chapter is called disappearing. It is the time when you are not seeking attention, you are seeking improvement. It is the time when you are not trying to impress people, you are trying to build yourself. And that is where real power is created. Because when you disappear with purpose, you return with power. Let me repeat that. When you disappear with purpose, you return with power. You return stronger. You return wiser. You return more disciplined. You return with a level of focus that most people will never understand. And suddenly the same people who ignored you, the same people who doubted you, the same people who laughed at your dreams, they start asking the same question. How did you do it? But they did not see the quiet mornings. They did not see the lonely nights. They did not see the sacrifices. They only see the result. And that is why you must learn to fall in love with the process. Because the process is where you are built. The process is where your mind becomes stronger. The process is where your discipline becomes unbreakable. Anyone can work hard when people are watching. But the people who change their lives, the people who build greatness, are the ones who keep working when nobody cares. They keep showing up. They keep pushing forward. They keep improving themselves little by little every single day. And over time, something incredible begins to happen. The person they once were slowly disappears, and a new person begins to emerge. A stronger person, a wiser person, a more focused person, a person who understands their value, a person who refuses to settle, a person who knows their purpose. And that transformation cannot happen in constant noise. It requires space. It requires silence. It requires moments where you step away from the world so you can rebuild yourself from the inside out, because the most powerful victory you will ever achieve in your life is the victory over yourself, over your doubts, over your fears, over your excuses, over your limitations. And that victory is not won in public. It is won in private, one disciplined decision at a time, one focused day at a time, one silent sacrifice at a time. And one day, after months, after years of quiet growth, you will step back into the world. But you will not be the same person who disappeared. You will be stronger. You will be clearer. You will be unstoppable, because the time you spent alone was not wasted. It was preparation. Preparation for the life you were meant to live. Preparation for the dreams you were meant to achieve. Preparation for the greatness that was always inside you. So if you feel like stepping away for a while, if you feel like focusing on yourself, if you feel like disconnecting from the noise and rebuilding your life, do not be afraid of that season. That season might be exactly what you need, because sometimes the most powerful move you can make in life is to disappear, not to escape the world, but to become the person who can conquer it. Ladies and gentlemen, there are seasons in life when everything around you becomes loud. Too many voices, too many opinions, too many expectations. Everywhere you turn, someone is telling you how you should live, what you should chase, how fast you should succeed, and what success should look like. People are constantly watching, judging, comparing, and somewhere in the middle of all that noise, something very important begins to disappear: your real self. You see, when the world becomes too loud, it becomes very difficult to hear your own voice. Your dreams begin to fade behind the expectations of others. Your purpose becomes buried under the pressure to impress people, and your identity slowly becomes a reflection of everyone else's opinions. That is why, at certain moments in life, you must do something that most people are afraid to do. You must disappear, not because you are weak, not because you are running away, but because you are preparing for the greatest transformation of your life. You see, the world has taught us that success means being seen, being visible, being popular, being known. But the truth is something very different. Real growth happens in the unseen moments. Real power is built in silence. Real strength is created in the seasons when nobody is watching. Every champion you admire has gone through a period of disappearance. Every successful leader, every athlete, every entrepreneur, every artist who changed the world, they all had a season when the world could not see them. A season where they stepped away from distractions. A season where they stopped chasing approval. A season where they chose discipline over attention. Because the truth is simple. You cannot discover your true self while constantly performing for the world. You must step away from the stage. You must turn down the noise. You must create space in your life where you can finally ask yourself the most important question. Who am I when no one is watching? That question has the power to change your life. Because when nobody is watching, there is no need to pretend. There is no need to impress. There is no need to follow expectations that do not belong to you. There is only truth. And sometimes that truth can be uncomfortable. Sometimes when you sit alone with yourself, you begin to realize things. You realize that some of the goals you have been chasing are not really your goals. You realize that some of the paths you have been walking were chosen to please other people. You realize that some of the habits you live with are holding you back from becoming the person you were meant to be. That moment of realization is powerful, but it only happens in silence. It only happens when you step away from the noise. And that is the power of disappearing. Disappearing gives you the space to rebuild your life from the inside out. You see, most people spend their lives trying to change their external circumstances. They want a better job, a better house, more money, more recognition. But very few people stop to work on the most important thing of all, themselves. Because the truth is this: your life will never rise higher than the person you become. Your success will always be limited by your discipline. Your future will always reflect your mindset. And if you truly want to transform your life, you must first transform yourself. That transformation requires focus. It requires honesty. And most importantly, it requires solitude. There is something powerful that happens when you spend time alone with your thoughts. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your mind races. Doubts appear. Questions begin to surface. But if you stay in that silence long enough, something amazing begins to happen. Clarity begins to appear. You begin to understand your fears. You begin to see your weaknesses. You begin to recognize the habits that are keeping you stuck. And once you see those things clearly, you gain the power to change them. That is why disappearing is not about isolation. It is about transformation. It is about stepping away from distractions so you can focus on growth. It is about creating a season in your life where improvement becomes your main priority. During this season, your life may look different from others. While people are chasing attention, you are chasing discipline. While people are seeking validation, you are seeking mastery. While people are talking about success, you are working quietly to build it. And that quiet work matters more than anything. Because success is not created in moments of applause. It is created in moments of effort that nobody sees. The early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices, the uncomfortable decisions. Those are the moments that shape your destiny. When you disappear with purpose, you give yourself the gift of focus. You remove the distractions that drain your energy. You eliminate the habits that waste your time. You begin to structure your life around growth. And day by day, you begin to notice something powerful. You are changing. Your mind becomes stronger. Your discipline becomes sharper. Your confidence begins to grow. Because confidence is not built by talking about success. Confidence is built by doing difficult things consistently. Every time you wake up early when you do not feel like it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort. Every time you continue working even when nobody notices. You are building a stronger version of yourself. And that strength will eventually become visible to the world. But at the beginning, it happens in silence. Think about a seed planted in the ground. When the seed is first planted, nothing appears on the surface. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the soil, something incredible is taking place. Roots are growing, strength is developing, life is forming. And when the time is right, the seed breaks through the surface and becomes something powerful. Your life works the same way. Your season of disappearance is like planting that seed. During that time, you may feel invisible. You may feel like nobody sees your effort. You may feel like progress is slow. But beneath the surface, your roots are growing. Your discipline is growing. Your mindset is evolving. And when the moment arrives, your growth will become impossible to ignore. But here is something important to understand. Disappearing does not mean hiding forever. It means preparing. It means building yourself so that when you return stronger, wiser, more focused, more prepared. When you step back into the world after a season of growth, people will notice something different about you. Your energy will be different. Your mindset will be different. Your actions will be different because you will no longer be seeking approval. You will be living with purpose. And purpose is powerful. Purpose gives your life direction. Purpose gives your actions meaning. Purpose gives you the strength to continue even when things become difficult. Most people move through life without purpose. They follow trends. They chase distractions. They allow other people to decide what success means. But the person who disappears to find themselves discovers something far more valuable. They discover clarity. And clarity is a powerful advantage. When you know who you are, when you know what you want, when you know what truly matters to you, you stop wasting energy on things that do not align with your purpose. You stop chasing approval. You stop comparing yourself to others. You begin to walk your own path. And that path may not always be easy. There will be moments when people do not understand your choices. There will be moments when your journey feels lonely. But remember this, loneliness is often the price of growth. The road to self-mastery is not crowded. Very few people are willing to do the work required to truly transform their lives. Most people prefer comfort. Most people prefer familiarity. Most people prefer the approval of others. But the person who chooses discipline over comfort begins to build a life that others only dream about. That is the reward of disappearing. You gain the freedom to become the best version of yourself. And when you finally step back into the spotlight, you are no longer the same person who left. You are stronger. You are wiser. You are focused. You have discovered something most people spend their entire lives searching for. You have discovered yourself. And once you know who you truly are, nothing can stop you. Doubt loses its power. Fear loses its control. The opinions of others lose their importance. Because your identity is no longer defined by the outside world. It is defined by your inner strength. So if you ever feel the need to step away from the noise, if you ever feel the need to focus on your growth, do not be afraid of that season. That season may be the most important chapter of your life, because sometimes the greatest transformation begins with a simple decision. The decision to disappear for a while, so that when you return as the person you were always meant to become.